No Limits. This week we are talking about a studio closure. We're talking about Shuhei Yoshida's favorite games. And yes, we will, to an extent, be discussing the Insomniac hack. Hello again. You're listening to No Limits, a PlayStation podcast. This is a very informal and impromptu episode. We are recording this a couple of days before Christmas. We weren't going to do an episode, but you're so lucky you're getting another one, dear listener / viewer / both. We realized, me and Bree, Taylor, lightweight, he bails out, just can't be bothered. But me and Bree, we're committed. So we come in and we're like, well, there's a lot of news. A lot of stuff has happened this past week since our last recording. And we thought it was pertinent that we talk about it before the new year and before too much time has passed. I do not have the rigmarole in front of me. So I'm going to say, off the top of my head, go to patreon.com/Save the Game Media to support us. There's a $1 tier. You can get all the content that it includes, exclusive post shows. We have host stuff. That's great. You can jump into the Discord, which the links are in the description. You can join in, have conversations with us on the daily. We're pretty active, sometimes not. I'm neither here nor there, but I'm not the main attraction here. Let's be honest.
Who is?
Who is us?
Everybody.
Not just
okay.
Me and you, but
I was asking for a specific person just to see what you would answer, but that's cool.
I am going to say Ethan.
Ethan is the main attraction.
Yeah.
I miss
Which
him.
is ironic because he's not on any of the shows anymore. Missing dearly. There's probably something else I'm missing from the rigmarole. I don't think so. Outside of the Patreon supporters, of course.
Yeah.
Which we normally list at the start of the episode, so we should probably do that now, but I'm going to hand that responsibility over to Bree.
Yeah. Sam couldn't find the show notes from any of the other weeks that we've done.
I could. I have access to every single one of them, but there's too many tabs, and I can't quite manage another one,
Sure.
My brain will cease to function.
So, special shout out to our current patrons. We've got Alpaca Tom, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, David Hotwright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, and Lee Navarro.
Thank you, everyone, for your support. Yeah, this is weirdly far less of a tire fire than most other intros are. What sort of indictment is that on Taylor? It's okay, he's not here. He can't respond immediately. Bree, how are you doing? What have you been playing?
I have not been playing any games.
Boo.
I'm doing well, considering everything. I'm looking forward to my year-end bonus that's coming soon. Let's see. What else? I found out. Oh no. I found out that in order to start budgeting, all I needed was a really colorful spreadsheet that somebody else made. So
right.
I finally filled out like a budget spreadsheet. It's pink and purple and has cats on it.
Of course. Goes without saying.
Yeah, so that was my activity on Thursday, was filling that out because I was so excited about it because it was cats and pastels. Yes. Yeah. I've also been crocheting a lampshade, which I didn't know you could do that until very recently. So this is my first lampshade that I'm attempting to crochet.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
Very
and
nice.
I do have to shout out, I've got my PlayStation Christmas sweater on. Actually, I have 2 of these. This is my not as nice one, but the nice one is like thick and has embroidery, and it gets really hot, so I can't wear it.
Cool.
How are you? What have you been watching, playing, all that fun stuff?
I am signed off for the year. I submitted my final invoice.
So we finally get a different answer?
Yes, I'm actually not busy for once. Who knew? That's a possibility anymore. It does feel very weird.
Explains
I already
the outfit.
hate it. Yeah, I just couldn't be bothered to get dressed today. Although I am actually fully dressed underneath this. It's just quite cold here, as you can imagine. Well, no, that's no different to usual in the UK. But yeah, no, it's very strange. I don't like it. I'm already getting fidgety, more fidgety than I normally am, which is peculiar. But
I forgot to send you a task list. My bad. I'll do that.
Just got to lean into it. I've just got to. It's like you're going cold turkey on an addiction. You've just got to ride the wave as hard as it is for a few days or a week, which is all I've really got. And then, maybe the last few days of this week off, I'll enjoy it. Maybe.
So you're saying you didn't enjoy today?
No, not saying I didn't enjoy today, but I don't think I relaxed and R&R'd as much as I probably should have, because I was constantly pushing to do stuff, even if it's not actually working. But yeah, no, I'm fine. Looking forward to the holiday week, I guess, before I restart. What have I been playing? I've been playing quite a few things, actually. Because of the PlayStation Plus catalog, I played through Tinykin.
I've been waiting to hear from you on this one.
Yeah. Unironically, an excellent game. Really loved it.
What kind of gameplay is it? I don't even think I understand what it is.
So it's a 3D platformer. With you play as like a 2D sprite guy kind of thing. Imagine like Paper Mario, kind of, as much as I understand Paper Mario. In a 3D environment, and you have these tiny little creature monster things which are called Tinykin, and it's essentially, again, as far as I understand it, Pikmin, really, where the different colored Tinykin each have different like active abilities that you can use to access new areas of a given environment. It's not Metroidvania at all, but you unlock additional colors of these things throughout the different levels. And yeah, it's like a collectathon-y kind of thing. Very quaint, very cute. Can be wrapped up in like 12 hours, I think, probably. Yeah, really good. Like no real complaints at all. The time trial stuff, which is optional.
Did you platinum it?
I most certainly did.
I'm
quite easy,
this
really. I mean, obviously you had to collect everything, but that wasn't really too much of a hassle because I was quite comprehensive as I was going through each level to check all the nooks and crannies and stuff. So I played that, had a good time. What else?
I was going to go check your trophies, but you hid them again.
I picked up 4 things in the sale.
Okay, let's hear it. I have to go over mine.
I did post in the Discord. I was thinking between 2. I was going, do I want Dead Space Remake or do I want RE Village?
Yes.
And I was like, I've been wanting to play both of those basically since they came out. I was leaning more towards Dead Space, but I thought
that breaks my heart.
RE Village also has the VR mode, which I would get for free. And I'm like, well, my first playthrough of RE7 wasn't fully in VR. Had a great time. In fact, I think I actually platinumed RE7 in VR. So I plumped for RE Village. I bought RE Village. Haven't played too much of it. I think I've played maybe like an hour. So I'm not really far in at all. I'm still like in that starting village with all the wolves. Like I haven't met any of Lady Dimitrescu, or I haven't met any of them yet.
Not Lady Dom. Oh my god!
So I will be getting into that over the coming days, I think. But alongside that, I also purchased Carrion, I think, which is a Devolver Digital game. It's like a 2.5D horror platformy Metroidvania type thing, which I've had my eye on since it was announced again. It's been out for quite a while. I don't want to say a couple of years, but it's probably not far off of that. God forbid if it's any longer. I don't know. But you play as like this red, tenderly monster thing that progressively gets bigger as you consume all these people in the facility that you're breaking out of. And you unlock abilities, and you can then use those abilities to go back to other areas and access new sections and stuff. Very, very cool. You know, it's like the definition of just a good game. You know, I really bought it because I kind of wanted something very simple that I could just mindlessly enjoy, rather than like I normally was. Even in that first hour of Resident Evil Village, I was like, are there any collectibles in this corner? Here. I don't want to miss anything. Because I'm always going for the platinum. So I'm like, well, I want to play something that I don't really have to worry about that in. So I've played through most of that. I haven't finished it yet, but having a good time. And then today, I purchased 2 additional games because I couldn't help myself. I'm like, I already have so many things from PS Plus to play in my backlog that I purchased recently and not so recently that I haven't played yet. RE Village is one of them, which I will play, don't worry. But the 2 I purchased today, one of which was just because it was ridiculously cheap, like a super discount, was Psychonauts 2. I played through the original Psychonauts recently. Not for the first time, but for the first time in a long time, on PS4, well, PS5, but the PS4 version. I had a great time with that. So I was like, I would have played Psychonauts 2 at some point, and it turns out that some point is closer than I thought, because it's on like an 80% discount. So it was like under £10. I was like, well, it's normally at least 50, so I should probably just pick it up because I am interested in playing it. So I got that. Haven't played any of that yet, but it is downloaded, ready to go whenever I feel like it. And then the one other game, which I must sing the praises of, which I actually only recently finished maybe an hour ago, is Before Your Eyes, which is, I think, a VR exclusive game. I could be wrong. I feel like I might have heard something about a flat screen version, but I'm probably wrong, because it seems like that'd be quite hard to do or get the same impact.
It does say VR2 required.
Yeah, okay. At least, well, on PlayStation, definitely there isn't a flat screen version, but I feel like there was a version prior to the PSVR2 version on maybe a different platform. I might be thinking of a different game that has a similar vibe or aesthetic or design ethos. I probably am. Regardless, it is quite a short game. I beat it in, it's probably about 3 hours tops. Let me tell you, I don't cry often from games, but I was just a wreck. Well, not a wreck, but I was in a state.
Oh wow!
Upon finishing this game, without spoilers, obviously you need a fair bit of kit to even have the opportunity to play this game, it seems. But the general premise is that you, the character you're playing as, has died, and you are essentially on the boat crossing the river of the dead or whatever, and you're speaking to the boatman. It's a very quaint aesthetic. It sounds far more dark than it actually is. You're talking to the boatman, who's a cat, and
you have my attention.
He basically says that for you to be worthy of going into the afterlife, you need to recount him your entire life story, and that is the premise of the game. But the gimmick is that every time you blink, you progress that life story. So, because PSVR 2 has eye tracking, inside the headset, so it will register when you blink.
Oh wow! Okay.
So again, I'm not going to go into spoilers because I don't want to ruin it for people that might be interested in playing it if they have access, which I really highly recommend. You start out as like a young child, and one of the first things you do is your mum in the game is sat playing like a big grand piano in the living room of your house, and you're sat there, obviously first person because it's VR, and you've got like a tiny little baby kiddie first piano type thing, in front of you. And the thing you have to do to progress is to try and it's very simple, but you just have to try and match the tune that your mum's playing. And your mum's like, oh, that's cute. And she will play the song in full, as far as I know. But it's where it gets super interesting, because even in that, it's so lovely. The music is so lovely, and the visual aesthetic of the game is so gorgeous that all of these little vignettes that you're getting to see in 3D and you're able to look around, it's fleeting, right? Because you can only not blink for so long.
Yeah.
So as you get further into this person's life and you're experiencing, as you can imagine, more and more trials and tribulations and interesting character interactions and stuff, there were moments where I was getting emotional or moved, just generally moved or felt a certain kind of way from a scene. And just instinctually, I would blink twice, because whether I was choking back a tear or trying to not have my eyes well up or anything. But the pain in the ass thing is that not only ended the scene I was currently in, but then immediately skipped the scene after that. So I got a split second flash of whatever that scene was that I missed. And there's no way to go back. I've missed it. Obviously I can replay it if I wanted to. And there seems to be branching path choices you can make. I don't know how consequential they are, but yeah, I'm not going to get emotional now, but it's kind of making me feel a bit thinking about particularly the closing section of the game, which you could probably have assumptions about how it would end, and you're not entirely wrong, but there's a lot of nuance there that I don't want to spoil. But it is one of the few games now that if you do have access to VR, I think you need to play. Point blank, no, it's obligatory, I think. So that's alongside Beat Saber, I would say Astrobot Rescue Mission for PSVR, and Before Your Eyes, I think, is the third in that trifecta that I'm probably going to get members of my family to play it, because I think that it is such a excellent, the gimmick is just cool conceptually, because I was my eyes were burning because I was fighting to stay in a scene for longer, because this person was talking to me and revealing stuff about themselves in a very emotional and upfront way, And you could tell that it meant a lot to the character. So I was like really trying to not blink, putting myself through emotional pain to not let that moment pass and miss out. Which obviously is thematically very powerful and impressive. So yeah, I could talk about it for a long time, but I'm going to stop myself.
I did look it up. You can get it on Steam. There have been ports for Android and iOS also released. And from what I can see, it still has the same mechanics because it still talks about blinking. So my guess is that it requires you to have some sort of camera to track your eyes or something.
I think that there might be a workaround because technically, that's interesting. Yeah, because there are moments where you obviously don't want to blink because it will end the scene, but to progress through certain scenes, you do have to like look at a particular spot and blink to like make that thing open up or reveal a new section or progress the dialogue or whatever. So that those could just be like touch, or you click on that point or whatever. But
yeah,
I don't quite know how they get around you, because you could just stay in a scene for as long as you wanted if it's not specifically.
So it does say it was designed for a webcam. So it's designed to track your eyes with a webcam.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So
if anybody is interested and thinks that they are able to run that game and have it work, if they have a webcam, truly, I think it is worth your time. Again, it's quite short, so it's not a massive commitment or anything.
It's $5 on Steam right now too, if that helps.
Yeah, it was under 10 pounds so it'd probably be about $10, I think, on the PlayStation Store.
In the US, it was $15 on the PlayStation Store without it being on sale. If you have, if you're trying to get it right now, it's on sale for $12 through the PlayStation Store or through Steam if you don't have PlayStation VR 2, because you can't just play it on your PlayStation. But if you have it on, if you don't have a PSVR 2, then it's $5 on Steam and normally $10 there.
At that price, I think that's just an automatic purchase, personally. If you like storytelling in games and games that can really get you emotional and move you.
I like none of those things.
Just video games as art in general as well. I think that I haven't seen that kind of thing happen before. Obviously, I think it will be regardless of where you play it. I think that VR probably is the best place to play it.
Yeah,
because it's intrinsically linked to you actually blinking, and you are fully 3D as opposed to just blinking on a flat screen. But still, I think that the experience is worth it, personally.
Yeah,
have a good cry, people. It's good to do that from time to time.
I've been having lots of those recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you have any other games that you got, or that was the last one?
That was it, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't interrupting. I do just want to shout out. I did add Tinykin to my library. I don't think I'll play it, but I did add it. I also got Salt and Sacrifice, Grime, and Moonscars, which I think I'll be playing all of those at various times. For stuff I actually bought that was on sale. So one, I got Sekiro. I think it was 60 or 70% off. It was like a huge amount off. And I want to play it. And yeah. So I got it. I also got 12 minutes. It was one of those things, like you said, where it was such a low price that I was like, if I don't buy it at this price, am I ever going to buy it, kind of thing. So I ended up getting 12 minutes. And then I also got Stray Gods, which I'm really looking forward to playing. I've been wanting to play this for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a video game musical, for those who are not aware of the game.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, and I apologize if this is new information to you, but I think I'm right in remembering that 12 Minutes didn't review particularly well.
From the reviews that I heard, which I don't listen to a lot of people, it was good.
Okay.
Let me look. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it reviewed solidly good.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, maybe
not great.
Maybe I just read one or two bad reviews, and that just painted my perception of what the reception was overall. That's good though. That's good. It is the kind of game that I'd be interested in as well, and that's probably why I haven't bought it, because I thought that it was bad. But if it's not, then maybe I might pick that up as well.
Yeah, so on the Apple Store, it's 4 out of 5. On Steam, it's 7 out of 10.
Okay.
So
yeah, okay.
Solidly like good, seems like.
Good voice cast. I'll give it that.
Stray Gods has a fantastic voice cast as well. I'm so excited.
But I mean, can it really beat Willem Dafoe and James McAvoy? Daisy Ridley?
I don't know who that is.
That's disgusting.
Okay, which story did you want to tackle first? Sassy butt.
Let's do it. We'll just get it out of the way.
Get the one out of the way.
It's gonna technically be the majority of what we're talking about, I imagine.
Okay.
But
so just for people, if you are not wanting to listen to this and just skip a huge chunk, the other ones we're talking about is Closing Studio, and again, we talked about this at the top of the show, but Shuhei Yoshida's favorite indie games. So that'll be later.
Yeah. So we'll probably round out with Shuhei just because that's a bit of positive, fun news. But yeah, we'll be talking now about the Insomniac hack, data breach. Want to be very careful with my terminology here. It is not a leak. This was maliciously, criminally stolen. For context, as I said in the intro, we will be talking about this to some extent. We'll give you the warning now. There is a roadmap that has been revealed, obviously way ahead of time, and something we would never have seen anyway. We will discuss that very surface level because I think it's disingenuous as we move forward in the coming months and years if we don't at least acknowledge what we know about what Insomniac is seemingly working on. We won't be theorizing or speculating at all. We'll just be talking about what's there and just general surface level thoughts. In the leak as well is obviously personal information of the developers, which is something that we'll probably be talking about a lot. Obviously not the actual contents, but the ramifications and how disgusting a breach of security that is. And there's also actual playable builds of Wolverine that are out there, including full cast list, plot details, 25-minute long gameplay segments that you are very easily able to find on various websites. If you want to, you can go look. I would advise against it. Please do not engage with this content, but I know that will not stop some of you. I don't hold it against you. For context, I have seen the stuff. One, because I have no self-control, and two, also, I don't know, I think at the time that I saw all this unfolding, it was kind of impossible for me to not see a lot of the stuff. I inadvertently saw quite a few things, and I realized that the Band-Aid was practically ripped off for me anyway, so there wasn't much point. But yeah, so we're going to be very respectful here. We aren't going to be going, oh, this is exciting, and talking about everything we've seen. Bree has seen far less. I don't want to speak to exactly what she's seen, but she's seen certainly far less than I have. This is a very touchy subject. There's been a lot of evolving discourse on the topic over the past week or so since the breach happened, and then the actual revealing of that private information occurred. So, Bree, this is, as we said, this is an informal episode, very impromptu. We're just going to have a general discussion, but something I do want to do is in the past 24 hours, I think that's still correct to say past 24 hours, Insomniac have actually put out an official statement.
I actually didn't know this. So yes. This is breaking news. Well, breaking as in like when you sent it to me.
Yeah. So Insomniac on their official Twitter account put out the following. I'm going to read it in full. So the tweet is titled "An Update Regarding Insomniac and Marvel's Wolverine PS5." So reading from the statement, quotes, "Thank you for the outpouring of compassion and unwavering support. It's deeply appreciated. We're both saddened and angered about the recent criminal cyber attack on our studio and the emotional toll it's taken on our dev team. We have focused inwardly for the last several days to support each other. We are aware that the stolen data includes personal information belonging to our employees, former employees, and independent contractors. It also includes early development details about Marvel's Wolverine for PlayStation 5. We continue working quickly to determine what data was impacted. This experience has been extremely distressing for us. We want everyone to enjoy the games we develop as intended and as our players deserve. However, like Logan, which is the real name of Wolverine, for people that don't know, Insomniac is resilient. Marvel's Wolverine continues as planned. The game is in early production and will no doubt greatly evolve throughout development, as do all our plans. While we appreciate everyone's enthusiasm, we will share official information about Marvel's Wolverine when the time is right. On behalf of everyone at Insomniac, thank you for your ongoing support during this challenging time." End quote. So, yes, that was released a little over 24 hours ago. Obviously, the revealing of all of the information, I think it was 1.67 terabytes total that was flooded online after they refused to pay the ransom, which was $2 million or 50 Bitcoin, if I'm remembering correctly. They refused to pay that, which obviously they would refuse. And the hackers revealed this information as they promised. People thought Insomniac weren't going to say anything. I kind of expected Insomniac to not say anything, particularly because, you know, this was leading almost immediately into the holiday break. So I assumed that most of these developers were out of the office and away. And obviously, I can imagine a lot of their holidays are probably ruined because of this, because they're going to be either actively having to change all of their bank information and whatnot, or they're just losing sleep and worried about it, even if they aren't specifically directly affected and involved within the revealed information. But they put out a statement. I think a very powerful statement. I think they said everything they needed to say. General thoughts, Bree?
I don't know how. Maybe it's perhaps because I can be a bit naive, but it always astounds me how incredibly evil people can be. I can't imagine even like trying to attain somebody's data like this, let alone like having the data and sending it out like this. Like, I just can't imagine like being so callous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the part that I really just can't get over. And it's like, yeah, there's evil people, whatever. But it's just, I guess I just never understand how people can be like this. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a bundle of different problems. Like, obviously, any hack and or subsequent leak is not great. Obviously, it drives a lot of discourse online and engagement and clicks and SEO and everything, which you've seen if you've been on social media and looking around sort of game entertainment news sites, which is their prerogative to do that. Obviously you can question the morality of certain things, but I think that at the end of the day, similar to what we are talking about when we talk about the roadmap, there is a certain obligation to at least acknowledge things, even if you aren't like nitpicky, pulling things apart and examining them. I think there is a surface level requirement to acknowledge specific things within given context. So obviously, as I say, any leak or hack is bad and sucks for the developers, regardless of the context, whether it's self-inflicted or otherwise, because it's depriving them of the ability to demonstrate their work that they have worked for several years on with no acknowledgement or recognition. You have stolen their opportunity to take the limelight when they deem the time is correct. And obviously it generally paints a typically bad perception of the game, because you have early development footage and people are like, oh, the game looks terrible and yada, yada, yada. You even saw that with the GTA 6 leak thing that happened earlier this year. And then the trailer came out and people were like, well, the trailer looks excellent. So people were doubting for no reason. And again, what precedent has Insomniac set for you to expect them to release a substandard game?
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing is it cracks me up every time that people forget like how development works. Like you make, like the whole thing with development is that you make a crappy version of the game first. Like that's how development works. Like you don't make like, I need every second to be polished as we make this game.
So people I guess somehow must assume that Santa Monica went, right, so we get somebody to design the model for Kratos and the model for Atreus. We drag and drop into this, because the levels that you traverse through they're already pre-made, because of course they are. It's that easy. And then boom, you've got the game. That is how it should look. Like day 2 of development. Come on, lightweights.
Okay. Here's a great example for everybody. Do you remember that really hilarious bug that was in Spider-Man 2 where suddenly you were a cube? Yeah. That's probably from early development. Before they had models. Not to like give away industry secrets, but it's very common to just use cubes for everything.
Yeah.
You use cubes for characters, you use cubes for environment, all of that stuff. So
I mean, even early development footage of the original Spider-Man is available, like uploaded by Insomniac, to demonstrate, this is where we started and this is how far we've come, and it is a low res model of a Spider-Man, not the Insomniac Spider-Man in his suit that they've designed. It is just a low res, very basic, like clay model version of Spider-Man that doesn't animate, is just T-posing. And
that sounds right.
Doing very, very simple swinging, just around just lots of different sized gray boxes.
Yep.
And then you look at how the end result comes out. It's like so far removed.
Yeah. So if and I know this isn't, but if this was somehow an official trailer that Insomniac released, then I would be concerned.
Yeah.
Then I would be like, oh, that's kind of
concerns.
Weird. But this is not what they wanted.
Yeah.
Clearly they're not ready to release the game. They're not even ready to talk about the game besides the fact that the game is coming out. Like
Yeah. So yeah, like again, any leak or hack is bad, even if it is just about the content of the game, right?
Yes.
That is still, I think, most of the time, almost without exception, I can't imagine a circumstance where it would be warranted. Really extreme circumstances, I think maybe there could be some kind of justification made. But still, like that seems morally incomprehensible to me. But to then on top of that, to spite the company because they didn't pay your ransom, you go maliciously far enough to include extremely sensitive data of the people making the game.
Yeah. I think that's like really what like gets me is like it's one thing to release like the video game does very obviously matter to the developers, but like their personal information clearly is going to matter more to them. Like I don't understand how you could. I think that this would have been devastating enough without that information. Like
like I don't at that stage I just don't know who the leaks are for, right? Because like some people have like data mined and leaked stuff to get clout and attention on social media and stuff, and at least that is, again, morally reprehensible, but at least I can understand that train of logic, right? They want to get internet famous to whatever extent, so they look into the secure files of an upcoming game that has a lot of hype around it, and they leak it early so that they can be the one that put that information out there. That is something I can follow. If these hackers stopped at just the dev footage, not the build or anything, but like the plot details and maybe a bit of pre-alpha gameplay, that I could understand for that same logic reason. Wolverine is obviously a highly anticipated game coming from one of the most beloved and renowned and talented studios in the industry right now. Attached to one of, if not the most popular IP on the planet right now. So of course there's a lot of eyes on the game. But like, if you were planning on doing it for that reason, you surely wouldn't include the personal data, because how do you not grasp that not only are you likely to lose any of the like cheering on, like, thank you for showing us, this is awesome, yeah, from certain areas of the internet, you're going to lose that because you've done something that is not only distressing to the people working on the game, but actively, probably to whatever extent, delaying work on that game because they have to secure after the hack because of how severe it is. I don't understand what their motive is.
Well, I mean, I think that like in terms of like being able to do it versus motive, like I think the motive sounds like it was just really they just wanted money. And then they were mad that they didn't get the money. And then they released it.
But like, so do you think the hackers that did this, hackers, whatever,
hackies?
Well, I mean, it could have been like a single person, or it could have been a group.
It could,
That's
yeah.
sort of what I was inferring.
I know.
Do you think, like, this is what I'm struggling to wrap my head around in terms of motive? Do you think that they care about games and the game industry at all? Like, are they people actively within the industry? And I don't mean they're devs. I mean, are they gamers? Are they people that care about games?
I don't think so, no.
Because, like, again, I'm with you. How could you be? And if that is the case, why are you targeting somebody within that industry? Like, surely if you're this good at hacking, you'd go after some mega corp, and I know Sony is technically a big corporation, but like, you'd go after like banks and stuff, surely, if you're looking for money.
Well, it could. So I think that there's a lot of information that we're just never going to get. I think that even if / when this person or people are caught, like there's probably information that they're still not going to give. Like, were they specifically like asked to like hack a very public facing company, like, because you have to imagine, like, Insomniac is like they're like they were in Game of the Year talks, like Spider-Man 2 just came out, like they're very much like in the forefront of everyone's minds. So that could be part of it, right? It could also just be that perhaps their security systems were really just that bad. And this person didn't need a ton of skill to get into like their systems that they would maybe need to get into something like Chase Bank or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I can't remember exactly where I saw this, but the hacker has the person / people who did the hack supposedly have said that it was like, quote, surprisingly easy or something to get in.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So that's what I'm saying
So
is like this could be like they're in the forefront. They're like, hey, I know who Insomniac is because this game just came out. I don't really care about them, and I'm just curious if I can. And then they did, and then
yeah, and I suppose like I'm kind of like rescinding on something I just said. They kind of have gone after a megacorp in a way, because
yeah,
obviously Sony is big, but specifically with Wolverine, and I know that the hack isn't solely focused on Wolverine, but mainly Wolverine by proxy has both Marvel and by extension Disney involved. So like you have the trifecta of Insomniac as the developer, Marvel Games as the licensor, and then Disney is the big parent company that owns Marvel Games. And like you would obviously, all three parties want to preserve information for when the time is right, particularly proprietary, internal information. But yeah, you can imagine that those two in particular, with a character as beloved as Wolverine, I guess that kind of makes more sense as to why Insomniac would have been targeted specifically, alongside everything else you mentioned, like their success as of late and whatnot.
yeah,
They could have, the hacker could have thought very easily that whether it's Sony or Disney, we have a higher likelihood of actually receiving the payment because there is technically more at stake here and more, red wires and tape involved than there would be for an internally owned original IP.
yeah,
Because there's less cooks in the kitchen in that regard, because it is just the developer and then the publisher / organization that owns the developer, but because there's
yeah.
like third parties involved in various directions here, I guess that there's higher likelihood that you could be paid out. Obviously it didn't work out either way, which again I don't see that it ever would.
So one thing I wanted to ask, and it's gonna sound like an excuse, and I promise I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm just genuinely curious if you think it may be possible that, like, because like you said, there's like almost 2 terabytes of data. Is it possible that they just released it and didn't look at what information they had? Because that's a lot of data to look through.
Sure. I wouldn't have thought so. I would assume that if the hacker has any sensibility about them, which obviously they kind of don't already because they've gone after a corporation that is probably going to do everything in its power to track them down and put them away for life. But I would, again, like if we're speaking entirely hypothetically, my immediate thought, if I was a hacker and had just stolen all of this information, my first thought would be to scrub through that data to ensure that there is no line of code or backlog info that's logged somewhere that would intrinsically link me to it, you know?
Yeah,
That
for
there's no
sure.
back-end registry of a specific IP address that access the internal servers that Sony themselves or Insomniac could then trace back and easily find me. Now,
Right.
of course, again, there is equally likely possible, as you say, because there's so much that they either didn't consider that or didn't care enough to trawl through everything. But I think, again, I don't know all of the details and specifics, but from what I know, the hacker making the threats prior to releasing it was like pretty comprehensive in saying what they had. So I think.
So do you think that Sony was like calling their bluff, or I guess Insomniac or whoever? Because it feels like 2 million is a lot of money, but with a huge company like Sony backing them, like it feels like it's not that much.
Oh, I mean, Sony could have very easily paid that, like easy, no problem whatsoever. But then it's the precedent it sets, isn't it? It goes back to the age-old movie quote of like, we don't negotiate with terrorists kind of thing. You know, like as soon as you give an inch, they eventually at some point in the future are going to get a mile.
Yeah.
You know, so it's better to, whether it's GTA 6 or Capcom a while back, or obviously Insomniac now, Naughty Dog or whatever, it is, again, almost always, I think, in spite of how horrific the hack and released information may be, I would argue it's better to just bear the brunt and take the hit than encourage other people who are like, well, I kind of know how code works and stuff, so I might be able to get into a back end somewhere, and then I can chance my luck and maybe I'll get a couple of million as well, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but the thing is like I wasn't even thinking like in terms of like because the thing is they still have the data. Even if Sony had paid the 2 million, they would still have the data, right? Because then they could like ask for more money, all that stuff. I get that, but I almost wonder if like the $2 million would have bought them enough time to secure their employees' information.
No, because again, if the hacker already had it, it makes no difference. What assurance do they have that paying that money is going to prevent any of that information?
No, and I'm not saying that it would have. I'm saying like locking down people's like information. Do you know what I mean? Like understanding that the information was most likely going to release anyways, but giving them time to like help their employees, I guess.
So sorry, just to clarify, by locking down their information, you mean people like freezing their bank accounts and
Yes.
Right. I mean, again, like we're talking complete hypotheticals here, that is of course a possibility, I guess. But again, as brutal as it is for the developers, I would say it's better to not do that. Because again, you are still making the compromise of establishing a precedent that if you're talented enough at hacking or just, computer software and whatnot, and you got the balls to do it, there is actually a chance that you could make off with a fair payday. Whereas these hackers, at the end of the day, just got pissed off because they didn't get what they wanted and were like throwing a hissy fit, so they released all the information.
So it's probably a dude, right? We're all in agreement here.
Statistically speaking, most likely yes, but I'm not going to assume anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think they made the right call. Like I said, I never for a second thought that they were going to entertain the idea of paying the ransom. Because, and again, like this is so multi-layered, because Insomniac is by far Sony's most valuable studio right now and has been for a number of years.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. They have completely carried this generation. Without Insomniac, PlayStation this generation would be screwed.
Okay.
Because again, they would have had Santa Monica put out Ragnarok. They would have had Guerrilla put out Forbidden West. But like, what else?
Okay, so you mean in terms of games releases? Okay, I see.
Yeah.
What you mean.
Well, and also I just on a developer basis, like everything about Insomniac, there's been not an utterance as far as I'm aware, and I've been paying attention of like horrific crunch culture at Insomniac. Haven't heard anything to that degree. Of course, it's going to be crunch in any AAA studio at the minute. You'd be very hard pressed to not find it. But again, like as opposed to something like Naughty Dog, where there have been pretty extensive conversations about how bad crunch is there. No developer that I follow and have paid attention to has even whispered a word about crunch. They have obviously an incredible engine that is very versatile, and they are putting out high quality polished titles at a unprecedented and unparalleled rate. So I think that they are without question the most valuable PlayStation studio.
Yeah.
Are they the most decorated? No. Are they the most historied? Of course not. They're one of the more recent additions in the grand scheme of things. But I think if Sony had to shut down studios, and we're talking like complete hypotheticals, I think Insomniac would be the last one they shut down. Because they know Insomniac have set the precedent that they can be depended on at a far faster click than any of these other internal studios. In the span that, okay, so hypothetically, let's say Ghost of Tsushima 2, if we're being like super, super optimistic, maybe squeezes into the end of next year. Realistically, probably some point mid 2025, I would say.
Yeah.
That seems right. That will be 5 years between releases from Sucker Punch. In that span, if we are including information we have from the roadmap, Insomniac will have technically released 6 games. With Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Spider-Man 2. Am I right? 5. Still, regardless, that's a game a year. It's like, at the quality level that Insomniac are putting them out, they're not like rushed botch jobs. That there isn't a studio anywhere under Sony or anywhere in the industry that I think is putting out games at that level, at that speed.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember what my original point was. I was saying they were valuable. I can't remember why. Oh, the point I was going to make was they weren't ever going to pay this ransom because Sony will protect Insomniac with its life. And also, because of the IP and the information we've garnered from the roadmap and stuff, Insomniac are going to be fine regardless of these leaks. Like, Wolverine is still going to sell ridiculously well. Because of course it is. It's a Marvel game coming from the creators of Spider-Man, which is the fastest selling PlayStation exclusive of all time. So it's going to be fine for them. Obviously, like, they're in the eye of the storm right now, and it sucks. But as we get further and further away from this, you know, fingers crossed, there is no real blowback on the devs in terms of like actual doxing or stealing of credit card information, you know, all that stuff. Hopefully there is none of that. I can't imagine. I think it would be Sony's top priority and Insomniac's to make sure that doesn't happen. But like, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will be okay. But it also is like, I'm also concerned in terms of like what does Sony do now to make sure that this doesn't happen again? What does Insomniac do now to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And I think that that's like my bigger concern. Not that they won't survive this storm, as terrible as it is, but that this won't happen again to any other PlayStation studios.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, it's interesting. I think Insomniac will absolutely, tighten the bolts and completely, seemingly probably have to like overhaul their internal security. I think it's a bigger, more vague answer for Sony in general, because obviously they have so many plates to keep spinning, and I don't know if there is like a one size fits all solution here in terms of security, because you have different studios with different engines and different pipelines and work structures and things like that. I don't know whether you can sort of just institute a obligatory security strategy, if that makes sense. But I would hope above hope, whether it's the Naughty Dog with Last of Us Part 2 story stuff leaking, or obviously Insomniac now. Like, I said it in the Discord, like the last thing I want right now is in the coming days or weeks or months for another leak to happen on whatever scale, and for something like Naughty Dog's new IP or Cory Barlog's next game to be maliciously stolen and shown to us before an official reveal where we can all celebrate properly. Yeah. And that goes across the board. Like, I just took those two as examples. Of course, I don't want anybody from anything from anybody being taken and shown before it's time. But I hope above hope that Sony realizes that as much as, again, all players involved will be just fine at the end of the day, it is still quintessentially important that they really get a grip on things, and prevent this sort of thing from occurring again, as you say. So we've talked about this for a while.
Yep.
Before I move on, I will talk about the roadmap, surface level, going just over the top. We don't even really have to discuss them at all.
Okay.
But I think, again, it would be disingenuous of us to not acknowledge that these things exist. Again, there will be no speculation, but if you want to skip ahead, we will keep a note of when we change topic in a timestamp, so that will be logged at the bottom. There might not be timestamps for the episode the rest of the episode prior to this, but we'll make sure we acknowledge where you can skip ahead to. So check down in the description for that timestamp. Give you a couple of seconds. Okay. So Bree, I don't know how much you've seen. Have you seen the roadmap?
I saw like a graphic thing, and that's it.
Well, interestingly, there were technically involved in the leak. There were hack. Sorry, there were two different roadmaps, seemingly from different time periods where things have shifted around slightly. So yeah, again, I mean, I just gave a spoiler warning, so most of those people hopefully will have left if they don't want to hear anything. We will, of course, be saying the titles of technically unannounced games right now, just so people are aware. So I'm going to refer to the one that is, I think, the older of the two, because the dates are... The other roadmap seems to have updated timeline for stuff. So this one is technically the extended roadmap, it says. So we have Spider-Man 2 in 2023, which launched a couple of months ago, as we know. This roadmap lists Wolverine as the next game, and it coming towards the end of 2025. That's interesting for multiple reasons, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'm just going to list all of these off, and then we can talk about them if we want to. surface level. This roadmap then says the next game after Wolverine is Spider-Man 3 at the end of 2027. Then after that is X-Men in 2029. A new IP is listed in 2031. What is listed here as X-Men 3, but I assume they're kind of including Wolverine in that. So it's like technically the third X-Men game. Or maybe there's a reason there's a 3 there that I don't understand. That's 2033. And then a second new IP or new IP 2, which could, I guess, be a sequel to the first new IP in 2035. So that is listed there. I'm now going to skip to the other roadmap, which I think is probably more indicative of their most recent estimations. Spider-Man 2 released 2023. Then, again, be careful, people. It says here the next game from Insomniac will be Venom in 2025, which obviously the other roadmap listed was where Wolverine was going to be. This roadmap now lists Wolverine coming the year after in 2026. Then in 2028, which hasn't changed from the other one, is Spider-Man 3. This roadmap lists a new Ratchet & Clank game, 2029. X-Men has shifted up a year to 2030. And then ambiguously, the new IP is 2031/32. So we've acknowledged those things exist. We know that realistically, some form of this roadmap is likely what we will see from Insomniac over the next several years. We don't have to talk about this more. I think that we've done our due diligence, at least stating them on the record that is there. We will therefore likely have to at least acknowledge this if we talk about predictions and ideas for what is coming from different studios next. We will, of course, always, unless it is officially announced, put disclaimers should we decide to bring this up again, so you're safe. The one question I will pose to you, Bree, and if you want to take it somewhere else, happy to do so, but the one question I will pose to you, there's been some discourse because of this roadmap leak that people are disconcerted that Insomniac is essentially becoming a Marvel studio. Do you share that sentiment, or do you find that disconcerting, even if you share the sentiment?
I would say it's up to Insomniac whether they want to be that studio, and what's wrong with having like a Marvel video game studio.
Yeah.
That is consistently putting out good Marvel games.
Exactly. If they're good projects, what does it matter, right?
So if they're one, happy working on those games, and two, like the games remain to, like, they continue being good, like who cares, right? Like, yeah, as long as everybody involved is happy, I don't think it actually matters. Yeah. Am I concerned? I mean, clearly if they're working on like a Ratchet game, no. And new IP could technically be not Marvel as well.
I would imagine it probably is not Marvel, yeah.
But I don't know. I like that. I like what they're doing. I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah. I mean,
how do you feel?
A Marvel shill here, so it's not surprising.
I know, super biased.
Not surprising that I don't really have an issue with this, because all of those things sound awesome to me, and Insomniac have proven to me that they care about this IP and they can make it work really well. You know, even just from the teaser trailer that they've officially released a couple of years ago for Wolverine, the tone was on point. So I was on board day one. I'm still glad to see other stuff in there. Like, it's not like it is just Marvel. Love Ratchet and Clank. I imagine that might be the end of the IP. making way for the new IP coming afterwards. I could be wrong. I kind of hope I'm wrong, but I could see that being a possibility. But yeah, in terms of Marvel, like the game sells so incredibly well. And obviously that is making both Sony and Insomniac a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if that ensures that Insomniac don't go away, one of my favorite development teams, do it. You know, if that guarantees above all else, regardless of what happens, that the lights stay on, those people keep their jobs, and they continue to make great games, I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue.
Yeah.
And another thing that I did say, sorry, just my final point.
You're okay.
I can't remember who I raised this to, but someone was sharing the sentiment that they were just a Marvel studio. It might have been Kevin actually in the Discord. I think it was Kevin. I said I would much prefer it to be restricted in terms of working on licensed IP. I prefer that to be restricted to one internal studio than having several first-party studios working on either the same licensed IP franchisee thing or lots of different licensed IPs. And again, I said Insomniac are good at it and they care. They make a lot of money. So if Insomniac want to do it and it stops other teams from having to do licensed IP and prevent us from getting new original stuff, I think that's fine. And this isn't going to be a thing forever. Like, obviously, it's going to continue into the foreseeable future, but like into the late 2030s, like maybe we still do get a couple of Marvel games here and there, but I don't see Insomniac sticking to this forever going forward. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Well, so I think that like what this kind of brings to mind for me is that like studios, just to give an example, studios that only work on first person shooters, right? I know personally that unless it was like a story only based first person shooter, I wouldn't really be that interested in working on a first person shooter. So I wouldn't really go looking for jobs at those studios, right? And I think that that would also reflect on like Insomniac, right? If you're really not that interested in either third person storytelling and or superhero and or Marvel, like you're not going to go find a job there, right? You're not going to go looking for a job there. So I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And Kevin's always a negative Nancy, so.
Of course he is. Disregard anything he says. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Including Alan Wake too, or? I'm just
besides that. One thing, and I don't want to suggest, I'm trying to find a potential silver lining to how horrific this all is. Me seeing this roadmap and knowing what is potentially coming hasn't detracted from my excitement for any of these projects.
Yeah.
And even more so than that, obviously, again, Eye of the Storm right now, it's not going to sound great in the short term. But I think long term, assuming there is any validity and that this kind of roadmap is still at least partially correct, I think it might actually help Insomniac get new talent, new people into the studio.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong with that. I also wonder, like, I don't think we have any real case examples for this, but I also wonder, like, could this be a way for devs to like talk about stuff in the future? Like, here's our roadmap for what we have planned ahead.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It hasn't ruined any of the, not that I was super excited about any superhero stuff, but like it hasn't ruined any of the excitement for me. And so with studios like this that we kind of know, like, oh, they're going to be working on Spider-Man 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 into infinity or whatever. Like, is it really that terrible to know what they're doing ahead of time?
Mm-hmm. And again, you can be very ambiguous with it, right? Like, I'm not saying that this is something that they should necessarily do or institute, but it is worth at least considering, because it helps to, again, I do think that people that either love Marvel and want to be working on superhero-y type games will inevitably, I imagine, at least, once this has blown over and the security issues have been resolved, for as much as we'll ever learn about it, I imagine talent will want to go to that studio because they're like, I get to make all of these games around all these characters that I love from the comics. And on top of that, if you include the fact that we know all of those, at least the Marvel games they're all going to be profitable. Like, there isn't a world where none of these games make the money. None of them are going to go for a loss.
Yeah.
So, again, not that this is set in stone, but you would maybe assume alongside that it is potentially at least somewhat indicative of some form of better job security if you manage to get in, And I know that it's always ever evolving and that devs are always rotating in and out. But I think that it's not like you are taking risks on brand new IP that might not click with an audience.
Yeah.
And therefore your studio suffers massive financial losses and has to make cuts and layoffs and stuff and downscaling and stuff.
Yeah.
All
I
these
think
games are going to make
Insomniac
money.
Insomniac has really in my opinion, is an incredible industry standard because they're not just laying off tons of employees every time they finish a game, right?
Yeah.
They have other stuff for those employees to work on and they just shift them around, right? They're not like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's hire a bunch of people. Okay, let's fire a bunch of people. Because that's the normal game dev cycle right now.
Mm-hmm.
Including people that get fired. I have met people at game developers conference that have literally their games or their names were not in the credits of a game because they got fired before the game was released.
Yeah.
I guess not fired, laid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Insomniac seems to have hit something, right? Where it's they're a consistent studio to work for. So you're not wrong. It's going to drive a lot of talent over there. So
there's something in the water at Insomniac across the board.
It's not the LA water, I'll tell you that.
On that front. And again, the quality of the games and how fast they're able to put them out without the quality suffering. I'm surprised that Sony isn't instituting that other studios replicate whatever organization structure they've got going on at Insomniac. Because imagine a Naughty Dog or a Sucker Punch with the same output capacity as Insomniac. Imagine.
Yeah.
That would be perfection, literal dream scenario. And I don't think it's infeasible. Obviously, they're very different games and striving for different things and whatnot, but I still think that there is a potential middle ground that could be found here. In the same way that they brought in Bungie to try and inform all of the studios about how live service stuff works. I think Insomniac is the spearhead in sustainable and reliable game production.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that a huge part of them being able to do that is that they're not rebuilding an entire game from the ground up every time. For sure.
So. Yeah, that inevitably does play a part in it. But then, you think is The Last of Us Part 3 going to be that much different than The Last of Us Part 2? I don't know how much more you could refine the systems in that game. Maybe I'm wrong.
The systems maybe not, but the environment is a huge thing. Environments take a lot of time.
Fair, which I guess is why Wolverine is a fair bit further out than we thought it might be.
Yeah, because they're making a whole new place.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all the Insomniac stuff.
Okay, let me timestamp that. 1/19/26. Okay.
Welcome back, people who wanted to remain completely unspoiled. We had a great time. You missed out on so much stuff. You didn't. We didn't talk about that much. We didn't. get juicy or anything. We just talked about obviously the roadmap and our thoughts and just how great Insomniac is in general. How beloved they are.
All right. Next thing. More bad news?
Yes. Most people probably won't care. But it's news nevertheless. First Contact Entertainment, which is the studio behind PSVR's acclaimed Firewall 0 Hour and PSVR 2's pseudo-sequel Firewall Ultra, is set to close down at the end of this year, so imminently. The team cited the industry's overall lack of virtual reality support as the reason. Quote, as a AAA virtual reality game developer, we are just not able to justify the expense needed going forward, end quote. Firewall 0 Hour was supported for many years as a live service, and in an interview earlier this year, the developer had expressed a similar ambition for Firewall Ultra. They talked about that. The developer released Operation Bloodline, which was an update earlier this month. And the article, which I'm reading from Push Square, states that it's likely to be the last update, even though it was the first post-release season. Yeah, like that's the general sentiment. That a big VR studio is closing its doors. You know, not just canceling a game, not just stopping support, it's just closing down fully. The way I'm going to word this, I know what reaction I'm going to get, but you'll understand the sentiment. Do you care?
Do I care? Yes.
Yes. But not about like the game.
I don't care about these games. No, I don't care about these games. However, I do care about game devs not having jobs.
Yes.
Because in a year of layoffs, more layoffs is not what I want. And or a studio closing.
Yeah. It's just like something is happening this year. I don't know whether we've reached some kind of weird breaking point. I don't understand. I don't know what's happening. But it has happened a lot, as I'm sure everybody is aware. And it seems that, you know, we thought it was all over. There was nothing going on. And then everything hit Insomniac. And then we're like, well, you know, that's a real bad way to cap off the year. And it seems no, we're not done there. There's another big studio that is getting real bad news. Obviously, I am a PSVR adopter, both the original and PSVR 2. Loving it. We'll continue to make use of it going forward. I did play Firewall 0 Hour, not for an extensive amount of time, but I did back in the day. I think they might have given it away as a PS Plus game 1 month, maybe. I don't think I purchased it. I may have. I guess that's part of the problem. But I certainly haven't touched or even thought about purchasing Ultra. And for all intents and purposes, Firewall 0 Hour was very good. And I'd heard decent things about Ultra. To be fair, the reception seemed a bit weaker. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Nevertheless, regardless of whether we really care about these games, as you say, there's not really too much more to be said, I think, but
yeah,
worth pointing out that a studio not only heavily associated with PlayStation, but specifically catering to the waning and on its deathbed PSVR 2 game offerings, they are gone or will shortly be gone. Sad times.
Yeah.
Bree, why don't you lighten the mood for us and take us home?
Sure. So this last thing that we're talking about here is Shuhei Yoshida's favorite PlayStation indie games of 2023. What?
It's just we don't ever really cover these kind of articles from PlayStation blog. Like, this isn't really news.
Yeah.
But again,
it's important.
Very informal episode, and we wanted something to lighten the mood at the end.
And also, anything Shuhei says is very important.
Of course, he is Bae.
Yeah. Best smile.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And also, hopefully, you never know, because it's specifically indies. You might find something.
I am going to look up these games while we talk and see if any of these are on sale.
Yeah.
As we go through. So, this is an array of PlayStation 5, 4, and VR2 titles. So Shuhei is writing this and said, I wanted to share 11 indie games that were my personal favorites of 2023. This first one listed here is called A Space for the Unbound. It says it's a heartwarming adventure game born from developers from Indonesia, featuring vivid graphics that echo the enchanting style of Makoto Shinkai, his films. And I'm just making sure I know who this is. Yes. Okay. So that would be Suzume, Your Name, Weathering with You, Garden of Words, 5 centimeters per second, Children Who Chase Lost Voices, like the guy who did that. So outstanding art, basically, is what that means in my head. It weaves a magical tale about dreams and love surrounding a young boy and girl. Will the two, who were torn apart by an accident, ever find each other again? Play till the end to find out. I'm very interested in this. This sounds kind of up my alley, depending on the gameplay. It is. Ooh, Sam, you'll be so excited to hear this. It is available on premium, is what it says on mine.
Oh.
But I don't know if it's just the game trial that's available. Oh, no, it's just the trial. It's 1 hour full trial available for premium.
Interesting. Okay.
It is not on sale, but it's only $20 game.
Okay.
It does look very interesting mechanic-wise. So if you try that out, let me know.
I'm unlikely to, from the looks of it. It looks gorgeous. But the gameplay I'm seeing isn't quite grabbing me. I'll look up reviews though, and if they're like glowing, then maybe.
I mean, you could just try the free 1 hour.
Touche. You're not wrong.
Okay, next one is, I don't know how to say this, but The Legend of Tianding. So sorry if I said that wrong.
I think so.
So this is set in the early 20th century during the Japanese rule of Taiwan. There existed a legendary hero known as Tianding, who fought the corrupt elite, took from the wealthy, and saved the common folk. That sounds like Robin Hood, to be honest. Although it sounds like not necessarily based on Robin Hood. Just saying it sounded Robin Hood-y. You can enjoy a fast-paced, side-scrolling action through a beautiful aesthetic rendered Taiwanese scenery. The game also features various historical documents of the period, which is very interesting. That does sound interesting.
I mean, the gameplay looks pretty dope, not gonna lie.
Let's see what this says. Legend of... It is most likely not on sale. Let's see.
I'm just playing through the trailers on the blog post as we're
talking.
Yeah.
Huh.
It certainly looks cool.
Yeah, it looks like it has a lot of interesting. So this is $20, not on sale, but only $20. Okay, next one is this game we've never talked about before your eyes.
I legitimately didn't realize this was on here.
Okay. Well, we already talked about this, so we won't cover it again. But it does say you'll likely find yourself moved to tears in the final moments.
I did say that.
So this next one, which I'm pretty sure is the whole reason Sam shared this, he rigged this somehow.
I actually also didn't realize this was on here.
Is Chia. I'll let you take that away.
Oh, Chia. I just adore this game. And I don't really, I do know why, because it's so endearing. I'll just read what Shuhei wrote, developed by a team from New Caledonia, this is a liberating sandbox action game set across beautiful islands. The protagonist, Chia, possesses a unique ability called soul jumping, which enables her to inhabit birds, fish, animals, and even pebbles, and utilize their abilities. He also says it adds a delightful twist to the gameplay, which I guess it does, but that's a weird way to end your little paragraph there, Shu. It's just so great. It's like what if Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but good, you know?
Take that back before you get
not going to take it back.
Podcast canceled.
It's just the truth. Chia is Breath of the Wild, but good.
Oh my god. Okay.
I will stand my ground. I am not backing down from that statement.
You really frustrate me with the Nintendo stuff.
Tears of the Kingdom, different question. Breath of the Wild.
Chia of the Kingdom.
I like what you did there.
Thank you. It's honestly what I thought you said before I realized that your accent just messed up.
Yeah,
I heard.
It's a absolutely gorgeous game. Coming from such a small team, I'm amazed at how it turned out. It's very simple, realistically, but I just had such a good time. And as much as I have so many games to play, I'm actually kind of, the more I think about Chia and talk about it, the more I'm itching to go back and play it again, like 100% again. Just go through, collect everything, explore everywhere again. Such good music. The vibes are immaculate.
I haven't even made it to the soul jumping mechanic. That's how much I've played of the game.
You should try it again.
It's not that I didn't like it.
Yeah. You just stopped playing.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's fine.
I do want to say, I can't remember if this was a monthly game or if this was just added to extra, but it was on PlayStation.
It was day one.
Yeah, but was it just for the 1 month, or can people still get it if they have extra? I don't know.
That is a good question, actually.
I don't know if it's part of the catalog or not. It might be. If not, I think this game's also $20, if I remember correctly.
Let me see. I'm gonna look it up whilst we talk. You can start talking about the other one, as the next one as well.
So the next one is Dredge, which is not on sale, $25, but it is a game that is fishing with horror, which is uniquely set to scare me. I have a really hard time, which is so funny. I really want to play Dave the Diver and I want to play Dredge as well, but they're both.
Chia is still on PlayStation Plus.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Dredge is probably too spooky for me, but I'll probably play it anyways. So I'll play that at some point.
I recently got Dredge over the past couple of months. I actually technically got it for free, kind of.
What does
because
this mean?
It was one of the potential rewards that I could redeem via PlayStation Stars.
It is still on the rewards, and I have been considering doing that. I think I have like 9,000 points right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 5,000 points.
It's 6, I think.
Okay. I played a few hours, haven't got back to it yet, but that is one on the backlog that I will be playing through shortly. Very good. I don't think it's, well, I mean, I suppose it's you I'm talking to. It's not that bad. I think it's more like psyching you out and you like freak yourself out.
Did you not watch? You literally watched me play Outer Wilds.
I know. I haven't in my short playtime encountered anything overtly that terrifying, like the Brambly planet in Outer Wilds.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
But there could be. I don't know. I can't speak for certain.
Okay. Yeah, let me look. You can get Cuphead for 5,000. You can get A Short Hike for 2,000. Moss for 5,000. Risk of Rain for 2,500. Dredge is 6,250, and Stardew Valley is 3,750.
Interesting. Stardew Valley must have just been added. And I think I'm almost
Valley.
100% certain I got Dredge for less than that. So I think that they do. I mean, obviously they update it with new titles every now and then, but I think they must have adjusted.
It could also be different because country.
I mean, I guess
because the points might be like weighted differently. So, for example, like 5,000 points is equal to $20, like $20 US, but I don't know how much that would be like for pounds.
Yeah, I'd have to look. Yeah, it's fair point. Fair point.
Okay, next one is something that we both played and both platinumed.
Wait, you platinumed it?
I feel like I did. Am I wrong? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I wanted to and then didn't. I might be wrong. Anyways, Humanity. So this game is it's just a Shiba Inu like barking at people, but has like a lot of weird philosophical stuff, but like no, like it's like almost no real story, but just enough story that like makes you think a little bit. And you also get to play a Shiba Inu, which is like, what else could you want? You know?
Bree, literally earlier today, I was because I've been so busy, I haven't been able to dive fully back into my PSVR 2 over the past few weeks. Hence why I was like, I played through Before Your Eyes earlier today. So I was like, oh, I got this. I've been eyeing it for a while and I got it. I realized Humanity you can play in VR.
Are you gonna go through and play it again in VR?
I re-downloaded it. Like it's there on my
dashboard. Forget you. I do have the platinum.
You platinumed Humanity.
Yeah, take that.
I mean, it's not that hard of a platinum, but I am.
Whoa! The shade. Calm down.
I mean, it's not a shade because I have it as well, so I'll be like dissing myself. But then I do have like Paw Patrol and Barbie and My Little Pony and.
Yeah, I don't have those. I have 8 platinums total.
Yeah, I think I'm
3 of them I just got in the past month and a half.
I think I'm on 272 or something, roughly.
I'm getting really close to the platinum for Blasphemous. It doesn't look okay. This is what I don't like about platinums is that it doesn't look like you're close until all of a sudden all of them pop.
Oh yeah, but then that's the oxytocin you need.
No, I don't like that. I want actual. I want it to. Anyways, I'm like I have to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm getting close to the platinum for Blasphemous.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I had to check your face to make sure you were being sarcastic. Okay, next is Synapse, which is a first-person shooter that uses the eye tracking on VR2 to let you select enemies and objects, then grab, levitate, and throw them with a flick of your sense controller. It's a minimalistic yet beautiful backdrop. You use your abilities to surmount looming dangers in a 3D action game. Have you played this?
I have. It's one of my recent plays, platinums. Very good. Very good. It's I did talk about this on No Limits a few weeks ago. It's like a roguelite sort of again super power-y kind of thing where you can
like or light?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know the difference, like
it's probably a light.
If you die, you go back to like a hub and you can invest skill points to make yourself stronger.
So let's see. I'm looking this up. So what is the difference between roguelike and roguelite? The rogue genre is infamous for its difficulty. Sorry. Roguelite often lacks a permanent death feature, and at the very least allows you to carry progression over to the next cycle. A good example of this is Hades. So if like death is more permanent, basically if the game is a lot harder, it's a roguelike.
Yeah, so Hades, you like go back to the hub, but you keep the stuff that you accrued and can invest that in upgrades, right?
Yes. So that would be a roguelite.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a light.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. It's like not going to the full extent. It's like the light version of, okay. That makes sense to me. Okay. Very good. Very good. Thoroughly recommend it if you have a PSVR 2.
Okay. Next one is Viewfinder. I own this. It's downloaded. Never played it.
Hurts my heart.
because it was so close to being good, and it just
Well, no, it wasn't so close to being good. It was so close to being excellent. Like it's good. It's a really good game, but like the first few stages of this game, first few levels, show so much promise and like innovation and variety, and it just doesn't quite manage to sustain it or really evolve it in really cool ways. There's still plenty of surprises, but I feel like if they just turned the dial up like a couple more notches, we would have had something like super special. That being said, I still think that for like the first game from this studio, there's a lot of potential here. Wish it had a VR mode as well. I think that would be something super dope.
If you want to play something similar, not necessarily just you, but like you as an audience, Gorgoa is one of the best games.
I mean,
ever.
It's not quite the same, really.
No, but it messes with reality in the same way.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true. Very true.
And you can also play Gorgoa on like your iPad or something like that. Like you don't have to have like an intense thing. Okay, next one is Eternites. Developer Jay left the security of a stable job to pursue his dream of creating a game that blends 3D action with a dating sim. By the end of the game, you must confess your feelings to one of your companions. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of looking at it.
This is like the Persona Light game that showed up out of nowhere and then released out of nowhere. I've heard okay things, but it's definitely
like
not.
Kevin played this?
I'm not surprised. It's certainly not a game for me.
If he likes it, I most likely won't, and vice versa.
Yeah.
This one is on sale. It's 34% off, so it's in the US $19.79 right now. So the year and the price.
Yeah.
Okay, next is Cocoon, which we had in our fantasy, but none of us played. I don't think, right?
I have technically played part of it. I purchased this game as a birthday gift for my dad.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think I've said a few times that he's had a bit of a gaming renaissance this year, and played a few basic games because he really he can't get the grip of using both analog sticks to move and look around at the same time. He's just like, that's alien to him. So you have to go quite simple with the games. But he played through like Limbo, he played through Inside, he played What Remains of Edith Finch, he played through Escape Academy. He's currently playing through Cocoon and The Witness. I mean, God forbid, good luck with him playing The Witness, Jesus Christ. But yeah, he's played a little bit of Cocoon, and I have played through a couple of sections with him, but it is a game I will inevitably go back to at some point to actually do a full playthrough myself, because I am intrigued.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that sentiment. I do want to definitely play this game. I do want to point out this game is 20% off currently, $19.99 in US right now. It looks incredibly good. So this is Shuhei says, Cocoon captures what I consider beautiful game design, a screen that is devoid of any UI and lacks any form of tutorial, yet the player intuitively understands what they must do. This is a new puzzle adventure from the creators of the timeless classic Inside. The game continuously delights with its enigmatic puzzles.
Yeah.
This made me think of that one crab game. I need to play that game. I don't know why.
Crab game.
Made me think of it. Yeah, it's like the Souls crab game where you can like turn on the easy mode and then you get a gun.
I thought I was lost with crab game. And then you said Souls crab game.
Yeah, hold on. Let me look it up. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe he's a lobster.
Easy
No, it's called
mode
another crab's treasure. It's called a Shell's Like because puns. You play a hermit crab named Krill. He's looking for his long lost shell, and you can turn on an easy mode that literally gives him a huge gun. If you haven't seen this, it's so good. Andy Cortez played this.
Store to see how much
it's not available. The game's not out yet.
God damn it!
I'm so serious. I'll send you. Hold on.
I believe you.
Because Andy did like a he has a short YouTube short that you can see the gun. I love this so much. Okay, hold on. I'll send this to you. So I don't know why I think the visual kind of reminded me of the underwater view. Anyways, it was completely unrelated, but that's what I thought about, and I'm looking forward to that game. Okay, there's the full one, and then I can find the short as well. Shorts.
Okay, the final game on the list whilst Bree is looking for that. Trinity S, which is I actually haven't got a clue. Shu says, for those who enjoy MMORPG boss fights but don't have the time to reach them, this game is made for you. You and up to 2 players can fight through a sequence of rigorous boss rushes in co-op. The action mechanic that allows players to access powerful buffs the longer they stand in place is unique and exceptional. Straight up, never heard of this. It's just a picture as well on the blog, so I can't even look at gameplay. But it sounds interesting. Certainly not something I would really ever actively plump for, but maybe I'll do some digging, do some research.
Okay, get back to us with the research.
And that is Shuhei's top 10 top 11, indie games of the year. Been a pretty good year for games. Obviously not for developers, as we've discussed throughout this episode.
Yeah, but, great year for games, terrible year for developers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for the episode. That's all we have for you.
It was a long one for being casual.
It was, but there was important stuff to discuss. Very complex, tangled web, pun not intended.
And now I get to tell everybody, see you next year.
Yes, you do.
You're held hostage until I stop recording too. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do the outro now. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been No Limits, episode 74. We will be back in the new year, in 2024. We hope you have a wonderful festive period, however you choose to spend it, and have a happy and fruitful new year. Thank you once again to all of our Patreon supporters throughout the year. Your support has been invaluable. And we look forward to bringing you new and exciting content in 2024, some of which you can find information about on all of our social channels, including the Patreon page. That's been it for 2023, another year down. Bree, for the final time of this year, where can people find you?
You can find me at Fabulous Brianna.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
People can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
See you next year.
Have a good time, guys.